comes and politician goes. But yet still they cannot eradicate the things that they say they would do. A bag of lie. Whoa, whoa. Well, I get a work in a construction. The money I make, nothing to mention. Yes, this going on, but people pay cannot raise. If you want to talk about race, just check out the food prices. As a culture man, love me country bad, but I have to say, the blasted country too hard. No, I cannot stay. Yes, I have to go. If they want me to stay here, then I have to win the lot to them to get me out. Out of order, oh, out of order. I get out of order. The country too hard. Out of order, oh, out of order. I get out of order. For betterment, I wave my rag. Out of order, oh, out of order. I get out of order. I still love me national flag. Out of order, oh, out of order. I get out of order. Come here to get and bad. This is my advice to those government ministries. At the end of every month, donate half of your salaries. You know it's the truth. You get everything for free. How come it's poor man alone that have to pay the duty? Mr. PM, change it. Mr. Boswin, change it. Red Riding Hood, stop before you get wood. Mr. PM, change it. Manu McCowan, change it. Miss Clarice Jazz, too much people they have to starve. Lord, them thing get me out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. The country too hard. Out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. For betterment, I wave my rag. Out of order.
I want to say a pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Order. I still
How are we doing this afternoon?
out of order.
It is another wonderful, wonderful day in the Spice Isle.
Order. And I come here to get and bad. When I check out the law,
It is Wednesday,
is it really protect?
the 9th day of July 2025.
We even get checked. Them fellas
Another class in session program.
love drugs.
All your friends,
As they
your
own
family.
and they about
Let them know that we're here, alright?
a man like me who try to do that. He's a set of kick and cuff, not to mention slap. Yes, I live in here and I'm fighting to stay afloat. A Frenchman come here just so and a diplomatic passport. Them thing get me out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. The country too hard. Out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. For betterment of
Don't forget 50 Shades Darker.
order.
It's happening on Sunday, the 27th day of July.
I still love
About Kayak Princess, alright?
out of order.
Get your tickets right now for only $85
Out of order.
or your VIP ticket for $300.
You hear the control?
Shucky's Bar,
Only for foolishness
St. George's,
that they put grease.
Spice Mobile in St. Andrews,
Blacklist.
or Sam in Guava, alright?
I hear this in the budget. They say it's just because my leader loving up terror.
To the persons of Carrick-on PD Martinique,
This one
please
power.
go on out there by Dwight Shop
Free going.
Mount Pleasant in Carrick
National security.
and get the opportunity to meet your caretaker for Carrick-on PD
And
Martinique
they selling the weed.
and the deputy
Them thing get me out.
political leader of the party,
Oh, out of order.
Brother Cox, alright?
Out of order. The country too hard. Out
St. David's will coming your way next Friday.
of order.
It would be the constituency branch barbecue sale.
Out of order.
That would be at Lassages.
Order. I get out.
So get ready for this one, alright?
Flag. Out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. And I come here to get and bad. Something wrong with this world. Where did they get the plan? The way that the system design is strictly for the rich man. The way this country program really have me confused. You're walking for 2 months straight and you can't buy a pair of shoes. Sometimes when I speak, what is my intention? I'm hoping that my lyrics go reach the politician. I'm riding hard on the back to change the constitution. I want them to remove the laws that oppressing the poor man. Them to get me out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. The country too hard. Out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. For betterment, I wave my rag. Out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out of order. I still love me national flag. Out of order. Oh, out of order. I get out.
So we take it down here, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to play this one. I just want to play this one before we officially start. This one is for those of you guys who are all into fitness for the summer.
Left side. Left side.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this one is the Fitness Revolution 11. This one is called Follow Me. It is happening from the 7th to the 31st of July 2025, Monday through Thursdays. So you can definitely go be part of that. The packages cost only $30. So if you guys want to keep fit, you want to stay fit, you want to be fit for the summer vacation, you can join this one, all right? More information as we go along, I will be sharing with you. So, officially, again, I want to say good evening to each and every one of you guys. You, Ruth Chetram, good evening, good evening, good evening. Chitaman, sorry, not Chetram. Chitaman, I want to get it all right. Yes? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, and we want to definitely make today our interactive day. Yes? I know many persons, even today, we had a small conversation, and persons are asking for that level of interaction. You would be able to contact on 418-3702 via WhatsApp. Yes, so you guys can definitely jump over to the WhatsApp, and you would be able to communicate with us today. And once we are here and we can accommodate, we would go as far as just between 3 and 5 minutes. Yes, just between 3 and 5 minutes, and we will be able to go through whatever issues or conflicts, or maybe just an idea that you may have. Yes, you know, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to do these things because, you know, we always are of the belief that our MPs and the party knows what is happening. Yeah? But I had to share a story which caused an individual, even who last election was very much in belief, strong belief of the National Democratic Congress. And this particular person was employed within a particular ministry. I want you to listen to me carefully. This person was employed within a particular ministry. And while being within that said ministry, one of the things that arose with the individual is the mere fact that they were realizing that persons were coming at that particular ministry and they were dropping off cash, like solid cash. Whatever the amount, whatever it is, I don't know. But the tax amount, or the cash, amount varied. And one time, due to that observation, that individual reached out to a particular individual in charge of that said ministry and said, I realize that persons are coming here with solid cash and they're dropping it off here. They said, I don't have a receipt, so I want to start advising them to do that, or whatever payment to be done at the ministry or at the financial complex or wherever. The response they got was that of, get a receipt book. Yeah? Get a receipt book. The person they're telling that, get a receipt book in their own personal capacity. Get a receipt book. And when that monies come at the particular ministry, write a receipt and give to them. But the individual said, how is it that am I to do that? Why am I doing this? Because if they're coming to do anything concerning government issues or a government business, they ought to be able to be given a government receipt. I cannot just give a receipt in my own personal capacity. And so the person observed the action until they got to the point. A pleasant good evening to you, Margaret Felix. all the way from the United States. So the person said to themselves, but no, that to me is fraudulent. You know, I am not going to remain in such practice. And that person, they moved on from the ministry. They tendered their resignation from that particular ministry of our government business, and they applied for jobs in other places. Apparently, when referencing to be able to acquire another form of employment, whenever they would have asked for the reference from the ministry, she basically got some inappropriate response from the places that she's applying for those jobs. She shared that sentiment on the basis that she found it funny. And how is it that when I'm asking for a letter, I'm going to interviews, I'm getting good responses, but the minute time I ask for a reference letter, the business calls back and is a different story. She said that at one point she did her own little investigation and realized that the responses that was coming from the ministry is what hindered our opportunity of employment, of foreign employment. Now, this is not a first-time conversation. And to hear it from an individual who was employed, or who is employed, or who was employed, sorry, within the ministry, brings more light to a lot of things that we're hearing. Another individual, one time a very small contractor, he would have applied for a particular contract, he was successful. He budgeted his amount, sent it in, approved. But when he got it, or when he got the cash amount, he realized that the check in itself was over more than $6,000-7,000. And so he inquired from a particular constituency office. He brought it to an individual. When he got the response from that constituency office, asking him to simply change the check and carry the excessive amount to that particular constituency office. So he was told that, okay, you've seen $5,000-6,000, go change the check and carry the excessive amount to a particular constituency office. Ladies and gentlemen, the conversation that we continue to hear of corruption within this particular administration is not all lies. And let me say to you, corruption is not a new political trend. So we are not treating it as if, oh wow, they are the first to do it. Or we the first time that we're hearing about it. You know what is bad about it? The excessive reports that we are hearing about them. We are not saying that it was right. We are not saying that it is right. What we are overwhelmed about is the utter silence. Because it seems like FIU is not investigating. The Integrity Commission, which seems to have been compromised quote unquote, by a particular minister, not minister, but parliamentary representative. They too are not looking further into those allegations. Now, the seriousness about this is that we have at this stage a minister of government, ex-minister of government, who sat in the actual chair, coming forward and say, hey, this is what I encountered. This is what happened. This is the issue or issues that arise in that particular entity. And so, within my scope or responsibility, I went further in making that bit of inquiry. But ladies and gentlemen, we are not hearing those questions being posed, and the answers that are given are nonchalant. The answers that are being given are basically, we don't want to hear that. We don't have time for that. And then they try covering it up with, oh, we have the non-sayers, or the persons that are trying to fight down government. And so they are the ones that are just coming up with those stories automatically. That is what they want us to believe. That we are just coming up with those stories. And it's like the Grenadian public does not deserve a proper response to the questions posed. Now let me give you some light as to what I'm trying to bring across. I want you to listen this carefully.
Is asking, in light of your recent announcement recognizing August 1st as a bank holiday to commemorate Emancipation Day, will there be and will you participate in any of the Jab Jab celebrations taking place around the island on that day?
No, I will not be taking part in any Jab Jab activities on that day. I am not so sure that Jab Jab activities should be taking place on that day, and I think I've already said that Jab has a time and place. It's generally for carnival season. The 1st of August is Emancipation holiday. This is not an insignificant event, and we have obviously taken very deliberate legislative steps to make sure that we acknowledge the 1st of August as the date when legally it was no longer permissible for one human being to own another human being as private personal property, especially when historically it was done by white Caucasians enslaving black persons or persons of African descent in Grenada and the British West Indies. So this is not a day to be trifled with or to be taken lightly or to be joked about. This is a day of significant importance to us as a country, significant importance to us as human beings, and from our perspective is the foundation upon which a free Grenada was ultimately built. So we should never take for granted the notion or the idea that some human being is less than another human being and therefore entitled to be treated or viewed as property, not in fact or in law. And so the activities we intend to support under the activities that will educate our population about the significance of this holiday, remind persons of their human dignity, and remind us that ultimately we are a free nation. And that freedom stems from that abolition of the right of persons to own other persons as slaves. So I don't want this day to descend into simply a day of entertainment only. It is a day for solemn reflection, it is a day for education, it's a day for us to think about how we preserve our freedom for the next 1,000+ years to come. If we don't think about those things, we run the risk of behaving in a manner that makes us vulnerable to other persons thinking that they can own us as human beings or own us as property. And so I've given a very long response because I want the caller and the nation to know that this is a very significant day that should be marked and observed with the respect and the dignity it deserves.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Contradictory. Mr. Contradictory. Again, another twist to the plot. Another twist to the plot to make it sound. He's so educated and nice, eh? Bright. Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, for those of us who understand the core of our cultural ancestors and understanding jab in itself, and I played it because I want to again ask of the minister or the parliamentary representative for the St. John's constituency to please educate the Prime Minister, educate your colleague member when you try to put away jab, when you speak emancipation. When you speak emancipation and you speak jab, then you speak, you have a whole conversation. Because if it is rooted, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the conversation, yeah, if you go into it and you ask about jab, it says it is struggle for black emancipation in Grenada. The article agrees that jab, a black Grenadian culture expression portrayed during Carnival, is central to an understanding of the struggle for true emancipation and freedom in the post-colonial and post-revolutionary society of Grenada. It contends that jab intervenes and becomes more pronounced during the moment. Extreme equality, dispossession, and inequality that is intervention provided to lens to understand emancipation and its subsequent alienation and injustice. I locate jab performances as a rememorializing or memorializing, an act of recalling or reenacting or to reperform a previous memory. Jab history, resistance spanning to duration of emancipation manifested in the present through performance. The exploration provides a reputation framework for reading cultural performances, centralizing performance as an integral presentation of both past and present. The Prime Minister sits on the national television and says, I won't take part in jab nowhere in Grenada because he does not enact what emancipation is. Yeah? The same man that said jab must play. Yeah? Take jab. And I want to bring it to that point, ladies and gentlemen. And it is argued around the world. Yeah? It is argued around the world as it relates to what they make jab to be. Mind you, emancipation has nothing to do with being solemn. Emancipation has nothing to do with being solemn. And you see, at the end of the day, when the big head boys don't educate themselves, it trickles down onto our children. Yeah? It is trickled down. I have no problem in understanding it. But emancipation is a celebration. It's a celebration of freedom. It is a celebration, nothing about solemn. It's not about being solemn. Emancipation is being observed in colonies all over the world. It's nothing to be solemn. It's nothing to be timid. Nothing to be afraid about. It is your freedom and your right. The day our ancestors got the opportunity to break that shackles once and for all. So if the Prime Minister don't know, somebody tell him. If the people don't tell him, he won't know. Don't want to be like others and say that he is culturally illiterate. I don't use those kind of words. I would not do that. If you go and you look up the whole meaning, it says emancipation is observed in many former European colonies in the West Indies and parts of the United States on various dates. It is commemorated in which of the British emancipation is usually marked on the 1st of August, comes into the forces of countries. They're basically telling you when it is. The slavery abolishment, which abolished slavery throughout the British Empire and its territories. The legislation only freed slaves below the age of 6, enslaved people and so on. It was a holiday that is given and known. Hear what it is. It is celebrated in carnival-like settings. In Antigua and Barbuda celebrates carnival on and around the first Monday of August since 1834, has observed the end of slavery. The first Monday and Tuesday in August was observed as a bank holiday to popularize the celebration on Emancipation Day. And you just want to talk, and you want people to believe you all are endowed within the culture. All you ain't no fat about it. All you ain't no fat about it. Because at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, there should have been at least programs on television and other places. We are days away from it. So you just wait on the first to come and tell people, oh, that is what is emancipation. That is what is emancipation. Emancipation is a freedom, a celebration of freedom. If you don't know, ask. You're older than me. If you weren't there, read. So when you talk about people, oh no, you don't play in job, and job must play. Understand the significance of job. Understand what you tell people to take in a mother so and so. Understand that is what you were telling people. Take job, take job. You see, when you have engulfed yourself in a framework or in a mind frame that you believe that your high excellence and your position does not require you to learn more, it keeps you in a concrete thought. So you only solidified in one area. All you're thinking about is a vote. So you say that because you want people to like you. You really say that because he significantly like job. Let me tell you something. I is one person. And every time I tell people that they are in awe, I am not a lover of playing the mass. I don't like to play job. And that is not because of culture. That is because if you know me, painting is difficult for me. I can't take thing on my skin. I don't care what it is. Even if they're playing a little flower mass or whatever it is, I might jump, I wouldn't say I wouldn't involve, but I am not a lover of this. But there are persons who love the mass. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to come across to show you the levels. We spoke referendum a few years ago. And there were literally persons in Grenada. And today, every time I speak of this, it earns me more. Because at the end of the day, you cannot tell me that educated people who understood the real purpose of a referendum was running around length and breadth telling persons, vote no. On a referendum. Zeroed it into their own plot Oh, if you vote for number 6, we'll still remember the number. Is to bring lesbian and gay and homosexuality within our society. Ladies and gentlemen, at least 3 documents have already been signed by this administration that gives the okay to homosexual practices and approval. If you don't know. If you don't know. But they said, don't vote number 6. Don't vote number 6. Look among us. Look among us. Homosexuality is out there. Look among us. Ladies are dressed like male, walking with their female individual into parties, strolling on the streets of St. George and other areas as normal. The same number 6 they ask you not to vote. Let me not go into the allegation that even surrounds individuals in higher echelon places. Where are they today? Those who beat the chest and say, no, let us just pledge allegiance to Grenada. Where are they now? The government is not even bringing forth a referendum because they know they must come to the people. They can make a decision on their own. So every Grenadian must now agree to pledge an allegiance to the country. And then the question to be asked, then what is the purpose of our Governor General? Not even the Governor General is echoing the sentiment of the importance of that little piece of injunction that is about to take place in Grenada. Whether or not it is mere silence, whether or not it is ignorance, whether or not it is arrogance, whether or not it is support, whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, when the constitution of the state is to be tampered with, the people of the state must be an integral part, or must play an integral part in any form of change or changes that is going to happen. But when you have an administration that is nonchalant, they don't care. Think the Prime Minister care about job? They do the whole emancipation thing to accommodate themselves. Because let me give them a night, let me put the holiday like that too. People go recognize us. That is what it is. There's no significance about it. They don't care if you don't know about emancipation. Since the legislation has been passed, have you ever heard anybody spoke on it? On any program, television program, anyway? Tell me. GIS, go and find out. Because it is simply done for the purpose of making them look good. That is what it is. You can say to me, at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, we are not realizing this. That we are not realizing this. I have another little one to play. This one is a little lengthy.
We have another caller online. Caller, good evening and welcome.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone, including the Prime Minister.
And I intentionally play this one because this is the student from the class who decided to ask some tough questions.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Prime Minister, there are some allegations are going around. And we need to you need to clear the air with some of the corruption we are hearing in offices, with some of your, first of all, with the burial relief fund, we're hearing that people are getting contracts, monies are put in their accounts, and people, they are taking all the money in their account and spend it and not finishing the work. Is that true, sir? Then, second of all, we are hearing the allegation with former Senator Lacrette with the NLA corruption deal. I want you to explain some of that for us, if that is true with the NLA manager and his girlfriend. So we are asking if these things are true with the NLA deal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. Have a very pleasant evening.
Thank you so much, caller.
Well, thank you, caller. I think my response on the National Lotteries Authority is no. And I think if anyone has evidence or proof to the contrary, then obviously this is something that they could have brought forth a long time ago. I want to make the point. The National Lotteries Authority, like many other statutory bodies, but perhaps lottery more than anything else, is outside of the central treasury, perhaps the next treasury of the state of Grenada, where everybody, from private promoters to Carnival Queen contestants, to sporting clubs, to community clubs, to people who are sick, are constantly asking for assistance in one way, shape, or the other. But the lottery business is a lottery business, and so the lottery itself also has to manage its results. And sometimes when people are told no, or are told that the lottery is unable to fund what they're requesting, they make all kinds of allegations against the board and the management and the staff of lottery.
Now, I'm pausing this here for you guys to understand what he just said. It's crazy when you listen to, and I have a whole list of clips that I wish you guys can. I wish I could sometimes just send it out to you guys. So somebody basically might have asked the NLA for assistance, and the NLA says no, they're not getting. Now there are hundreds of persons who goes to the bank and other financial institutions and apply for money, a loan or whatever. There are hundreds of persons that ask persons for help and they get the answer no. And have we ever heard anyone run down Grenada Cooperative Bank or whatever other entity because they didn't get through?
None of which is frankly fair, nor considerate. We also have to appreciate that almost all statutory bodies in Grenada, the people who serve on these boards, the directors, are doing so virtually free. The stipend that is given to them, the $300 or the $500 per meeting or per month, in many instances is inconsequential and cannot compensate them for the significant time and effort that they put in.
Another evidence why they're taking so much. Another evidence why you should look into it more. Because we know that the $300 or $500 is not substantiable to them. You're one of the persons who clearly stated that when you're getting this little bit of money, you'll not be tempted to thief. Remember you said that is the reason why you increased minister's salary? Because when you're getting this little bit of thing and them, that ain't much. Remember when he said that? Fellas just bite the tongue.
Into serving on behalf of the citizens of the country. So when people malign their names and say all kinds of things, that's one of the reasons why oftentimes talented people choose not to get involved in public service, because you have all kinds of foolish people who make all kinds of allegations with no proof. And if they had the proof, then present the proof. So I think that is what I would say. And then on the second...
But Brother Lacret gave you the proof. Up to now, ladies and gentlemen, what Brother Lacret said, that he forwarded to the Prime Minister, his only response, up to now, we don't know what it is, basically. His only response is that he investigated and he found nothing. You keep saying, bring the proof to you. The former minister said he brought it. The former minister said he brought it. There are persons within the NLA who is saying, they can remember the man ever having a conversation. The only person that bring the evidence to you, you fire them. You still asking people to bring evidence? Well, if it's me, I don't bring no evidence. That's stupid. You firing people when they bring the evidence. Yeah? But you want people to bring evidence? So come to court me as then.
Issue with Hurricane Beryl. I am sure that with any government program, from time to time, you may have mistakes or you may have issues that may need addressing. But as far as I'm aware, there is no widespread corruption. There is no systematic corruption.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, that is the crown of the matter. That is the crown of the matter. I wanted to get that out there. It's a mistake. But there is no widespread or systematic You see, I wish many persons within Grenada, yeah, them, I tell you, somebody saying, is the PM calling people foolish? Yes. You remember I said that yesterday for those of you guys who are on the program? I don't know if you were here yesterday, Kimmy Clark. Yeah, that is the way them people see Grenadians. Just as somebody said a while ago that the Prime Minister maybe just turn up his nose to look at Grenadians. That is the way the people are dressed. Them people don't see all you as important, you know. You ask him a question, if he feel to answer, he answer. If he don't want to answer, he don't answer. But as someone said yesterday in a clip I played, let's listen to the entire context. Realize that I've broken away from playing very short clips, eh? You realize, for those of you guys who have been in the program lately, you realize I've broken away from short clips because I want you to hear the entire context, as is said by a particular individual within our state, holds a position within the media, the highest of all.
In any of these instances. There are challenges, and I've said this repeatedly, with many other contractors, because in many instances, their ability to manage the money, the ability to have the kind of financial literacy that is required is sometimes not there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man is telling Grenadians they are giving contracts to people who don't even know to manage their money. This is what he's saying there. Don't listen, I tell you, forget the big words you're hearing there. They are giving contracts to persons who does not even know to manage their monies. So if a man is unaware or ignorant as it relates to managing his money, how are you managing yours? How is he giving you results from what he has to do for you? Because if I am a person that every time you come and cut me, I have to give you a cutlass and a file, then I don't hire you. It means that you are not responsible enough to even take care of the tools that you need to get the work done. So if you're hiring someone that you are, or you have information that they can't even manage the finances, men talking about it, getting paid, person sucking this, how are you hiring them? Who are vetting those persons? What is the credibility that they're giving to even get the contract in the first place?
Now, you could say you're not dealing with them, in which cases the homes are not going to be rebuilt because we simply don't have the capacity. And I've given these examples when we were having the financial literacy classes.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. Grenada is not dealing with a first-time disaster recovery. Why are they even thinking that they are the first government to have ever dealt with a disaster recovery? You come telling us the things that we know. We did not have the resources. We did not have the personnel. We got assistance from all around the Caribbean, by extension the world. You have traveled in 3 years more than any political organization have done in the history of Grenada. And you telling me that you have not built that bond. Let me say to you, there were what? There were Mexicans, there were Cubans, there were Trinidadians, there were Vincentians, there were Guyanese. There were so many persons after Hurricane Ivan aiding in the rebuilding of our country. There were persons being certified under that period. Also, because there were individuals who did not have any certification, they had little learnings, and the government gave them the opportunity to be certified. So you're telling us things we know.
If you give a contractor a fixed price contract, say $75,000 to build or $85,000 to build a Build Back Better house, And he doesn't realize that he cannot pay his workers per day. Because if he pays them per day, and if they're unproductive, or if rain falls and they don't work and they still have to be paid, he will quickly find himself running out of money and unable to build the home, because he ought to have said, if my price is fixed, I then have to give a fixed labor price. I can't pay you per day. You then have to tell me, what is the job as a carpenter? It is $10 for the entire project. What is the job of the electrician? It is $2. What is the job of the plumber? It is $3, and say that is the job. Because if you don't, and you pay them per day, and they tell you $1 per day, and they spend 3 months on the site, and you pay them that way, then you quickly run out of money.
My question, if I was there, is have you had that conversation with the Ministry of Works or the Minister of Implementation? That would have been my next question, you know. Was this conversation happening, or did it happen with the person responsible? Because you come here talking all bright now, and you're stating that there is an issue.
And the house is not built. And in many instances, this is what has happened to a lot of the small contractors that we've tried to work with. Because, you know, everybody in Grenada always talks about, you don't like to support a small man, you don't like to do this, you don't like to do that. The government has gone.
Now, I would end this here, because let me say to you, and there is someone mentioning it in the comment section. You can't give anybody no literacy class. You took the Ministry of Finance and you didn't spend 4 months in it, because you're new to yourself, you're not qualified for the position. So you ain't coming here and give nobody literacy class as if you're doing big shot. So don't come and give this 1, 2, 3 questions. 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 3. We will know those answers. My question, if you are aware of this as the political leader and prime minister, why isn't it not being applied in the ministries? You must be able to come up with all this strategy. Oh, you're giving fixed money, and we know that. So if a man come for a contract, the fact of the matter is, the person giving the contract should have been able to give that level of assessment. So I'm here because I want to cut your yard. I realize that you have here. Yeah? I would have applied for person with lawnmowers. All right. Do you have a lawnmower? What is your resource in terms of getting gas? Do you have a way of, if the lawnmower break down, that it can be repaired? Yes. Okay, is it you alone, or 1 person or 2 persons? Yes. What are the amount of persons? What are the daily salaries? These are questions that have to be posed when a contractor comes to say, I want to work. But you put the cart in front of the horse and you expect the cart to pull the horse. So you give them the money. Now they're acting in the manner in which they are. You're coming up with all the ideas. All the ideas now, you have it because you're in front of the camera. So them fellas and them should be in Hollywood. The entire NDC administration should be in Hollywood. Them is actors. So I want to play this clip again, ladies and gentlemen, because I played it short yesterday, and maybe if the individual is listening, maybe they could reach out to me for the entire length of the clip. Again, here is the words.
That came out clearly after the burial response.
Yeah.
We were looking for contractors to do small houses, and we were not getting contractors.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we hire people, they said they could bill, and when you see what they bill, it's a disaster, next disaster. You know, so we really need to get our people, especially our young men, upgraded with skills.
Yes.
Yeah. Because some of them, they've been around construction as a helper, but they have not acquired the skill to go on their own.
Right.
You know, and that is a challenge for us.
So I want to speak to the young lady from yesterday who said that she could not have understand it in its context. Yeah? Remember I played a clip yesterday and the individual said she cannot take it in its entire context because, it is just what it is. So I want to play it again so you go here. She said that, something so she said yesterday. Let me play so you go here.
A few days ago, I was listening to the minister of MIT, and he was saying that they go on the block and pick up some people, and they learn a thing, as they say, a thing or two from construction, and before you know it, they're building houses, they do the electrical work, and they're doing plumbing. And I'm saying, Lord have mercy, because
well, you know, Mr. Batiste, let me stop you here. I saw that video too, and what I noticed is that there is no context. If we're talking about the same video that was cut and the Minister of Finance speaks and then the Minister of MIT speaks and then the Minister of Social Development speaks, that are a series of clips that was put together that does not really provide context for the comments that were being made.
All right? You heard it. So it's not context.
listen,
So I'm giving the context today. When I'm going to research and I'm giving the context. So I played the entire clip from Sister Gloria. That's the context. Giving you the entire context. You're asking for it. So this is not the cut one. They're not the one that cut. Giving you the entire context.
Constituency, St. Patrick's East. How is things in the constituency, sir?
Well, a lot is happening in St. Patrick East, and in recent time I've done some interviews on how many houses that we have actually put out in the last year since burial.
Yeah.
And I must say that things have gone apace. A number of persons would have gotten a new house. In some cases, their house repairs and so on. There are one or two houses that were started and they are yet to be completed. Some of them have issues, I would tell you, because I've heard one or two cases yesterday when I was in the field that the contractor started the house and he disappeared.
Why is that happening, sir?
I don't really know, but I mean, I believe that the persons who issuing the contracts to those contractors need to basically make sure that they vet these people properly and so on. I've heard stories on the road, which I mean, I don't even want to talk about it here right now, where a guy got money and so on, he put it in an account and so on, and every now and again he goes and takes $200 from it and so on. And it doesn't appear on the person's side to be able to continue the project. So yes, we have one or two houses.
So we have a management problem there to push that.
Yes, there might be that case this one. But I wanted put out a warning out to the persons who have collected government monies and did not do what they should do with it and so on, or use it for other purposes and so on. We would have the audit department audit those things, and would have the necessary step taken to make sure that you can account or you account for the monies that you were given. I know there are problems where, for example, somebody might tell you, well, this is the land and so on, and when I say we, the ministry took it as though that's a gospel, and they went and started building that house, and then realized that there was somebody coming and challenge, you're building on my land. Again, we have to be more structured, put things in place to make sure that we can verify ownership of property before we get into building those things. So yes, there might be some learning situation in the past that we have to take into consideration, where people build on people's land that was not authorized. And so we, going forward, have to make sure that all of these things are corrected. It may not be just a matter of mismanagement. It may be a matter of people not being upfront with the information they gave the
Constituency.
So, ladies and gentlemen, contact the lady for me and ask her, tell her that if she's looking for context, I got the context. If she's looking for a flat-out explanation, I can give that to her. This is readily available by the click of a finger. More so, ladies and gentlemen, he touched on another conversation. Like I'd planned to leave it, you know. I'd planned to leave it because I wanted to cut that piece alone. Yeah? So imagine, you're going to repair your government institution, and you're going to repair an individual home. First of all, you want to know whether or not that there are legitimacy of ownership. Come on. A man tell you, okay, yeah, my house get damaged during Ivan. MLE, whatever. And you're a government entity that is wanting to repair. And he may require that level of assistance. But he says to you, you know what? It is my land. Yeah? You must put a policy in place to have this individual or individual. Because there are times, persons have lived on properties for so long, not realizing after a certain amount of time, they're not even the owner. Sometimes somebody maybe just give them a little blind, they say live there for a little while. And most or some of this are not requiring concrete structure. A lot of the time somebody give you a little blind, they might say to you, you could remain there, but try not to build any concrete on the property. And some of these projects do require concrete structuring. So you must have included in the process some form of legitimacy of ownership by individuals in whom you're assisting. A man just can't come and say, I used to live there, my house smash up, and you just go there now and you start to build for him, you throw concrete slab, you do whatever. We know it has been a common practice among our society where individuals just simply, I live in here 12 years, so the land is mine. And then as soon as something starts happening on it, you hear the family of X and Y and Z come and say, let me fatherland, you know. Let me aunt, let me uncle, let me grandparents. And I like the question asked. Is it a form of mismanagement? He says yes. Who is to manage? From whom does that management come from? Is the next question that he must have asked. So there is a mismanagement problem. Yes. The dear minister answered vividly. Yes, it is an issue of mismanagement. The next question should have been, from whom does that management come from? But you know most answer I could tell you. Because if government is doing a project, management must come from government. Because if you have that process and an individual is given $50,000, I remember, and I can't remember which project it was, in my mind I can't remember, and I might have to reach out to my dad for this. I remember there was some project that was happening after Hurricane Ivan. And everything that my dad would have bought, I want to believe he's my dad, and I wish I could have reached out to him to ask the question. That every time they bought something, he always kept the receipts. Always kept the receipts. Yeah? And with those receipts, he kept them, and I think either when he was going to get paid or he had to put them together, at least do a report or something, and drop it in, I think it was the road office. I remember my sister was the one assisting him. I want to believe that is what was being done. So there is a way of persons being accountable. The finance minister shouldn't be at this point talking about, oh, persons should be given a... That should have been put in place. Remember, this is a relief. This is state funds. We are not saying that everybody to a T is going to be getting whatever. Right? But if a man decides, there's no me to build that house, I would need to contact gravel and concrete to drop X or Y or this or that, and you hold the receipt, so that at the end of the day, you do a nice little thing, you know, put it nicely together, and you collect it. So a man, by the end of the month, a contractor should be in a position where he put a nice documentation together that he paid $1,500 for gravels, $6,000 for and these are receipts. When you pay individuals and individuals get their pay, there is a book where you might have them sign, I mean, I might be talking old school, but I know this is one of the most comprehensive way of being accountable, especially when it comes to government monies. Because when you go do a little 10 days, a little travel, isn't that the kind of procedure that is being followed? Individuals sign, you say how much you pay, how much you give NIS. Am I right? Am I wrong? But you see, I am bringing those things across, ladies and gentlemen, so that you could see the lack of understanding, common understanding, day-to-day runnings that we have grown to know as a people when it comes to the fact of process and accountabilities. A man doing, how come, I mean, when a man doing a project or a contract, he's expected to be accountable. Yeah? But we have not seen this. And it is amazing how we have since accepted such practice. Yeah? And we just brush them aside. Ladies and gentlemen, it is what it is. And at this stage, we need to be able to be in the know. Yeah? To them, the emancipation holiday is a big thing. Somebody's asking in the comment section, does that change the price of sugar, flour, butter, oil, gas? But it's an accomplishment. You see, when you're not used to winning, any little thing you believe to yourself is a yay. You're down 10-1, but you believe you're behind. Yeah? You're up 10-1, sorry, but you believe you're behind. Yeah? So, ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, we are, 1 minute past the hour of 7. However, we're going to end this evening at 7:15. So it means that we have 14 minutes thereabout, so that persons can either call in or share your opinions or opinion on something that you have observed, something you know. The thing about it, we're asking persons to please don't be obscene, don't be insultive, don't be threatening to anyone. Try to respect persons' offices. We want nobody being defamative to anybody. Yeah? Defamating anybody's character. You need to speak truth. Or if you want to mention alleged or accused, those words are okay. Yeah? So we take just about the next 13 minutes or so, and you definitely can call in, and we will be able to accommodate you. The number again is 418-3702. The number is going across the screen, so you definitely will. If you can't remember what I said, once you look at the screen, you would notice. However, that calls must come from WhatsApp calls only. Yeah, you must call on WhatsApp call only. You can share your opinion, share your idea, yeah, something that you have noticed, whatever it is. We're asking you guys to, at this stage, make your calls, all right? I can also, at the meantime, read some comments, yes, so that I can share some of the ideas some persons would have had. I want to say a pleasant good afternoon to the Truth Mitchell, that's the Facebook name on Facebook. In one of the comments, she's saying, he is talking about financial illiteracy classes. Do we need financial literacy classes in this era? What financial background does Deacon have to be giving these classes? How many Grenadians can he engage to teach financial literacy in his capacity as PM with all the portfolio that he has? So somebody saying in the comment section that they don't believe he could give any literacy classes. Somebody saying we cannot just sit here and allow the government to do whatsoever they want and get away with it. What can we as taxpayers do to kick them into action? Well, based on democracy, on election day is the day. Yeah? Election day is the day, right? Somebody's saying also the same number 6, which is the, speaking as to the referendum, the same number 6 they did not vote for, or no vote, is right up in our face. Yeah, I don't understand. Every time I think about the referendum, I think how, you know, we as a people could have allowed naysayers who just push a political agenda to miss an opportunity. Like, I mean, we were the only, one of the only Caribbean countries in this era to have ever brought a referendum abe. And I remember Dr. Mitchell's, one of his takeaway from all this was that, hey, despite whatever, yeah, his takeaway from it was the mere fact that we had a referendum, win or lose, as a small Caribbean nation, to have a referendum. It was amazing. It was definitely amazing. So, one of the things that he did mention is that we did it. Yeah? We literally did it. Yes, so, ladies and gentlemen, this is your opportunity to call in on 418-3702 if you want to be part of the conversation. As I said, you can share whatever ideas, opinion, whatever it is that you want to share. Yes, you can do so this evening. I want to say good afternoon to each and every one of you guys. I want to say happy birthday also to my wonderful sister, Shondell Anderson, out there in Canada. I want to say happy birthday to you, Shondell, and may God continue to bless you. And I want to extend that to the entire family, my family and your family, that God's blessings to each and every one of you guys. All right? So it seems like today some persons are scared to maybe call in and be a part of today's program.
Yeah, politician comes and politician goes, but yet still they cannot eradicate the things that they say they would do. A bag of lie, whoa. Well, I get that work in a construction, the money I make, nothing to mention. Yes, this going on.
So at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have persons that are willing to converse,
as a culture man,
we are going to officially pull the curtains down on today's broadcast.
Say, the blasted country too hard, no one cannot stay.
Somebody's asking,
I have to go.
Then Mr. Deacon Mitchell,
Then I have to win.
why did you not investigate? I want to see the investigation results. And look at that. He would have investigated Brother Lacrette matter, and he would have gotten some results. Did he say so? We still await the cabinet conclusion of the Polish individual. Telling me about these people and them.
This is my advice to those government.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if that is going to be the end of this evening's programming,
you know it's
I want to say God's blessings to each and every one of you guys.
How come it's poor man?
It definitely was a pleasure being in your company for another wonderful one.
Mr. Boswin,
I have to touch base with
stop before you get food.
Yes, sister
PM, Manu Makowin,
Jenny Simon.
Just
Find out whether or not she will be on air tomorrow evening.
get me out.
I did miss on Monday, so I wanted to do a pre-recording.
The country
And at least put it out tomorrow evening. Keep you guys abreast with conversations, alright? Right now is no rest for me. Yeah. I am 1,765 million
I still love me national flag.
endowed in giving you the information, alright?
I get out of order, and I come here to
So with that being said, have yourself a wonderful evening.
who does it really?
God's blessings to each and every one of you.
To immigration, he backs
Thank you so very much for being a part of this evening's program.
that's they,
Catch you again tomorrow, alright?
just because they own one island, they have all the powers. It was a man like me who tried to do that. He's a set of kick and cuff, not to mention slap. Yes, I live in here and I'm fighting to stay afloat. A Frenchman come here just so and a diplomatic passport, them thing get me out of order. Out of order, I get out of order. The country too hard. Out of order. Out of order, I get out of order. For oversee. Only for foolishness. I hear that they put Grenada sitting down right on the blacklist. It's no idle talk. I hear this in the budget. They say it's just because my leader loving up terrorists. No matter who it is, once they in power, all the money in the ministry going to the war. National security, government big police force. Babylon they selling the weed and importing coke in the most. Them thing get me out of the border, out of order. I get out of order. The country too hard. Out of order, out of order. I get out of order. For betterment I wave my rag. Out of order, out of order. I get out of order. I still love me national flag. Out of order, out of order. I get out of order. And I come here to get that bad. Something wrong with this world. Where did they get the plan? The way that the system design is.